I'm originally German, from Bremen, northern Germany. But I've lived my entire life in different places. So as a kid, I grew up in Portugal, and then I spent some time in an exchange program in Indonesia, which really made me fall in love with, 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 with specifically Indo and Asia in general. When I was 19, 20, finishing high school, I wanted to do like a voluntary civil service, like a humanitarian service, and I got a space to do that in Chile.
Okay.
I stayed there for over 10 years, and met my now wife.
Cool.
We're not in Chile anymore though. And so I started my first internet-related business in 96, 97.
Okay.
A bunch of friends from home. It's all like, the early .com area still.
Yeah.
And actually built a web design, started as a multimedia company, and then did some web design. And then the company suddenly in like a year and a half or so grew from like the three of us to like 100 people or so. And we then got acquired by a Canadian company in 2000 when the NASDAQ was like at 5,000, so it was like, from here on, we got to take over the world. Got a little bit of cash out, but, 2/3 stock deal. And, when 2 years later, the escrow was opened up, the stock that we had gotten from the other company, which is a super large Canadian company, had gone from like $80 per share to delisted. So that was all like toilet paper, basically.
Oh my gosh.
Then we set up a CRM company, which was like a Salesforce.com for Latin America kind of thing. Did that completely. 4 years later, got completely screwed over by our Chilean partners.
Oh.
Basically lost the business. We had whatever, it's a different story. Then created a company called Tigabytes, which became Latin America's largest Google Enterprise partner. Great business, boring as hell. And it's like selling HubSpot, but without working with any creative people, because it's just system installations, right? So I did that for a while, but I then kind of shifted. I left the company that wasn't active anymore, and I spent a lot of time, several years, basically like helping build out the startup ecosystem. So in Latin America, so working with nonprofits, working with angel networks, working with VC funds, working with governments, and it was very, very interesting and stimulating. And on a practical side, it basically meant flying to Panama, going surfing for a week, and then doing a keynote on a startup event or something. Okay,
that's awesome.
So that was kind of the best job I ever had. Then I met my now wife, moved in together. One day our house burned down while I was out drinking with some buddies at an Irish pub. And since we didn't have anything left at that moment, it wasn't our house, it was rented, but we lost all the shit, passports and so on. I always wanted to do a startup from the Valley. So we moved to San Francisco. This was about 2012 or so, 7 years ago. Raised some money there, and then built a big data startup. Didn't make it to an A series, and when we were running out of money, we're like, "Fuck, we got to run out of money soon." We got like 6 months left. We're gonna need to do something else, and we were a HubSpot customer back then. And at that point, HubSpot approached us like, "Hey, you guys have like experience with distributing Google Apps. Why don't you distribute Google HubSpot?" And I was like, "Well, fuck, whatever pays the rent," And we became a very unambitious HubSpot partner, but we figured back then, we're going to focus on website development just because it had been our first business, right? And still together with one of the same partners, which is Alberto, Cuban guy. And it allowed us to pay the rent. And because the HubSpot COS was still new, we kind of carved out a space in the HubSpot ecosystem as a partner with like, a bit more of a engineering and technology background. Okay. And that gave birth to Inbound Labs,